our recreational chemical uses were getting pretty expensive. So I thought, hey, I should get a regular job instead of doing all this little consulting work. Make an hourly rate, be able to depend on that paycheck, be able to buy those chemicals. My girlfriend was thrilled about that. So I called a consulting firm in Tulsa that was advertising for a place I used to work. I left college to work at a place called, it doesn't matter. We did healthcare claims. That company, when Windows came out, they decided they were going to replace their MS-DOS product with a brand new Windows product. They sent me to Seattle to Microsoft University to learn how to program in Windows 32. No, actually, it was Windows 3.1 at the time. Although there were some engineers in the back of the room that were test driving NT. Yeah, the new technology, the 32-bit technology. Doesn't matter here or there. They sent me to learn to program the Windows computers. So those of us that went got upgraded into the new team, building the new devices, the new software, and it had to be done fast. It had to be done fast, corporate fast. In fact, I hired a new chief of operations, chief operating officer. He used to work for IBM, and when he came to town, we had a big stern meeting. Anyway, we're working on the Windows product, and we're kind of falling behind. He's not happy about it, but it's a difficult thing, and they've set a crazy time on. I can't remember what it was, but it was stupid. I was working all night long, drinking pots of coffee, blasting music as loud as I could to stay awake. Steve across the way was doing the same. So this guy comes in and he has a meeting and he's going to tell us all that we need to pick it up. So we go into this unfinished space on the floor where we're expanding our offices. This guy's got a big, long, pointer stick, wood rod, and he's beating it on his leg. He's from IBM. Hardcore, old guy. And he's threatening us. He's getting in people's faces. Okay? He's the kind of guy, if you're in the bathroom, one time I'm in the bathroom, taking a whiz, I hear the door open, I hear his shoes, it's him. Ugh! Stall right, you're all right next to me, motherfucker. He says, Winnett, we're going to make it on time? I said, yes, sir. What was I going to say? No, you're fucking stupid. I'm going to make it on time. Oh, get this. They wanted to save us some time. The corporation wanted to save us some time. So they went and bought a company that made a little product that scrapes information from mainframe computers. It uses a terminal emulation and you can program it with scripts or whatever. And we would use that to get the healthcare information out of a mainframe at a hospital and into our system so we could submit the claims. Which buying something is a good idea, but they had us evaluate it. We tested it up and down. All of us, all the programmers that tested it said this is not going to work out for us. Our boss said this is not going to work out for us. So of course the CEO bought that software for $3 million, bought that company and the software for $3 million. Oh, it was just a couple. A man and a wife made $3 million for this software. So the CEO brings us all into a meeting, into the boardroom, and we're all sitting down and we're looking at each other because it's not like we get dragged into meetings with the CEO very often. I mean, the company only had 120 employees, but still the business side generally took care of the business side. And the only time we saw the CEO was in the elevator, or at one of the big, company-wide meeting type thing. So he says, hey, congratulations, we just made your life easier. We just made a deal. We spent $3 million on this software. And do you have any questions? I raised my hand and I said, can we get our money back? I actually said that. I'm so fucking proud of myself. Can we get our money back? Incidentally, 2 years later, they took a write-off for $3 million. I sold my stock 3 days before that by accident. It happened to spike up, and it wasn't 3 days, it was 3 months. It happened to spike up to my limit, and I happened to sell it just a few cents shorter than its highest peak it ever made. They ended up selling out to another corporation. But anyway, the deal was, Jade, we need you to back off. Hi, how you doing? Anyway, the deal was that the premise team, the team that was developing this software, was expected to work 24 hours a day. My review came up, and, I got a good review, and I got, a percentage raise. I didn't get a title change, but it irritated me that I was working as hard as the older guys, doing as much work as the older guys, and not getting paid for it. So I said that. And they said, ooh, well, Joe, we have a corporate handbook here that says how much people can make. And, unless you become a senior programmer analyst, sorry, we're all limited. Me being a hothead, I gave my notice right that moment. Walk back to my desk. 15 minutes later, shift lead comes over and he says, today's your last day. Yeah. Anyway, so I had people that were wanting to put me in for a PhD thing at OSU. So fucking stupid. So stupid. God. I've missed every opportunity. Anyway, so as I said, our chemical habits were costing a lot of money. I thought I should get a job. I saw in the paper that somebody was hiring for this company. I know that company. Called the consulting firm, interviewed with them. They said, all right, we're going to get you an interview over at this company. It's now a big, huge, it's McKesson. McKesson is one of the biggest corporations in America, healthcare corporations, healthcare services corporation. I go in there. And what's funny is the guy that got my job after I left was a newbie when I left. And he had been there the whole time, 20 years or whatever it was. It was many years, 15 years. And now he was the lead of the programming department. And so he was in the interview. And they're asking me all sorts of regular corporate programming bullshit type questions I don't know the answer to. Anyway, decide the paradigm you use, blah, 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 blah. And I said, I don't know. I just sit down, I look at the code, and the answer pops into my head, which is pretty much true. I've been programming since I was a little kid. I run the program in my head, and you run it, and you run it, and you run it, and you figure out whether it's going to work or not, and you just make changes. This little shit. Saab driver. Yeah. No, was it Saab? What was it? Some wiki. It doesn't matter what he drove. Anyway, I kind of had a problem with him. Not because he took my job, but because he had a disdain for me on his face every time I talked to him. Every assignment he gave me, there was kind of a disdain on his face, and I would finish it up. And if there wasn't anything to do, I would go the fuck home. Okay? I had chemicals to entertain. I didn't want to sit there and do nothing. My dad's like, just sit there. You're making $48 an hour. Just sit there. $48 an hour today would be great. Back then, it was very great. Just sit there. They'll give you something to do. Find something to do. And there were lists of things to fix. You got time to lean. You got time to clean. But so one day, this dude comes over and he says, okay, here, we're going to give you this one. And it was the worst program edit that they had. They had big corporate clients that had a reporting platform, and they had lots of reports. We had a reporting platform. They had huge clients. They had many hospitals, and all of the reports, the data for the reports would end up in one collection, let's say. And in order to get the list of the reports, they would have to, enumerate through all of those files and figure out what they were and put them up there. It took like 4 minutes or something for the list to come up. It really was. It was like between 3 and 4 minutes. And their largest clients had this problem. They were pissed off about it. And it had been going on for 2 years. And many people had worked on it. So he says, okay, you think you're so hot. It's pretty much what his face is saying here. Do this one. And 15 minutes later, I had it solved. And by the end of the hour, I had it back in production and fixed. And I went back to him and I said, oh, you're never going to believe what someone did. They made a shell call out to find out to get the icon and whether this is a PDF document or so they made a shell call to Windows. Who would do such a thing? And the guy goes, I did. He was the original author for it. Yes! Yes! Anyway, on January 3rd, over the weekend, over the New Year's weekend, I tried to check my email and my email did not work. And on the Monday, I was told that you're not allowed back in there. They didn't renew your contract. You can go pick up your box. Yeah, we can go pick up your box later. Man, we went to the Christmas party, my girlfriend and I. I think we were married then. Yeah, we were married. And, we're pretty rough compared to all these other people. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. She was the sexiest thing there. And all these guys were just like, ah. Loved that too. Really loved that. So at our table, though, is this lead, some other programmers, and she takes me aside and she goes, that guy SA'd me. What are you talking about? What do you mean? You've seen this guy? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen this guy. I was working at tech. She was a model around town. I was working at tech show. I was a booth babe. And this drunk guy comes up and he starts hassling me. And he gets me off to the side. And I can't get away from him. I had to get help. I was really scared. And she's a tough woman. I was really scared. I hate that guy. It was figures. Maybe she was wrong about who that was. It had been a while. But anyway, that was good. That was good. Incidentally, the whole reason I'm recording this is I'm getting ready to cut up my marijuana card. I haven't had any money. I haven't bought any. I guess I'm feeling better. I got I got boot problems. If I got $50, I'd buy marijuana instead of replacing these boots. If I get $50. Frankly, the money spigot's kind of turned off from the donations lately. I don't expect anybody to watch this. I do, however, think that probably sometime maybe my kids will wonder what the fuck. Look me up. Sorry, kids. Bye.